Alright, the last I left off was with China and the methane. And it had killed a village in Shangzhou province. And I was a little confused about the twins that were on the San Francisco Bridge, which one fell in the bay and which one had went on board. But it was Kevin that was brought on board. And Kenny was the one that floated in off a piece of automobile furniture, a roof or something with an air pocket in it. Got him close enough to the rocks on the shore, and he was climbing up this hill with all these abrasive scratches and cuts all over him. Kevin, his twin, was on board, and being that was, she had wings, but she was not an angel. She was just a being from another galactic planet that was also on the mission. Her name was Vernasia. She was in charge of sanitization of viruses and bacteria in human life forms of the surface dwellers. She worked in the isolation department, and this was because of all the exposure to chemicals, diseases, and stuff that man didn't even know he was being hit with by its own government. This whole planet has been an experiment where these nations, whenever they have something wrong with their people, they use us, brown people, to try and find a cure for it, like we're lab rats. Anyway, all the stuff that they put in us through vaccines, chemtrails, and everything else had to be purged out of our bodies. So we were put into like an isolation chamber of sweets and clean, purified foods with all the nutrients in them and vitamins were provided, because the body had to have all healthy food in it before it rested, because this beam of purification would pass over them while they were asleep and would cleanse the body of disease. Kevin and Kenny were raised by their aunt in Missouri and uncle. And their mother and father were part of the government and were killed in 1998 in a plane crash of 110 passengers. That's all I got out of that one. I think the 110 were from this country. But anyway, they knew that their parents were in the government and they had been killed, and there were whispers around why they were killed. And a neighbor of the aunts had a little, their neighbors, when they were staying at their aunt's, there were a couple of little guys that were their friends, and one was Stuart White, and he told them that his brother worked at Area 51. And he had been killed. And all Kevin was remembering was bits and pieces of a funeral and people whispering around. And then I remember Kevin and them eating in all of their sweets. And there was a screen in their room, and Bland came on the screen. He was a viceroy of the Galactic Division in this region, and he was called Commander. And he spoke to them and told them they would be coming to a banquet room where they could ask all the questions they wanted, and he would do his best to answer them all. He told them that he was there to protect them from what was to come upon the earth. And they all started coming out to go to the banquet hall. And this is what he said to them. Good evening, everyone. I am Viceroy of this galactic region of planets, Commander Bland Comer. You have been brought here for your own protection. You were rescued. Please do not be afraid. We are not here to harm you. The area you are in is a suite of rooms for quarantine. You will remain there temporarily until our scientists have the decontamination process of bacteria and viral exposure removed. As soon as this is completed, you will be determined non-harmful to us, and we will make our visit with you shortly. And more will be revealed to you. Until then, welcome. You may be wondering why you are here. You are spared the life you have. Otherwise, you would have been destroyed on the bridge from what you call a tsunami caused by what you know as an 8.2 planetary quake. In our language, it is a rift in the planet's crust that is beginning to shift, and you will be kept safe here. The time is limited until His holy judgment, so please remain calm and safe until our mission is complete. I will begin making rounds shortly. Again, welcome. He flicked the panel switch and the screen went dark. So, he has rescued people from all over the planet that had a light soul. They have these soul scopes. It see your aura is dark or if it's light. And that's how they know who to rescue. These are the repented ones. Some of this stuff is so deep. It's deep. When Kenny was coming up the hill, there were other people that had got past that broken part of the bridge, and they were making their way down the road, and they saw Kenny. But the cars that were on the road, he heard as he was making the top of the hill, and one of them was an RV. And the RV guy almost ran him over because he was looking at the destruction over the bay, and he happened to notice when the lights flashed on it, blood, a white t-shirt, and a body in the road where Kenny collapsed. This RV driver's name was Daddy Love. That was his RV handle on the CB when he was a trucker. He was talking to somebody named Jack Rabbit, or Rabbit. That's all I got was Rabbit. And Rabbit was an 18-wheel driver, and he was also on that highway. And they were talking about the damages of the tsunami hitting the Bay Bridge and looking down below at how all the coastal homes were in bric-a-brac, smashed up against rocks. So Daddy Love, or we'll call him DL, stopped it, and he got out and he talked to Rabbit on the radio, told him he had found somebody on the road and he needed some help getting him in there to get him some help. And Rabbit pulls up and they get Kenny inside. And they start heading towards where they could get to a hospital or somewhere. They're on the radio trying to find emergency help. And as they are traveling, they see the other survivors that came across through Juan and Reina's harness for the roof. So these people that survived and scooted on over and were pulling each other back and forth on this harness to get them safe, they were the ones on the road with Kenny. With Kenny to rescue him. I'm going to stop right there because I summarized these chapters. And I was in the middle of my garden, and I figured I got called to put this one out. and explain who was on board, which is Kevin. And Kenny's the one that's still on the earth.